Good evening, loves, and welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress. And I'm coming at you with a taste of Richard Armande. Well, I like to start this party. Good evening, loves. Hello, Brooklyn. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Velvet. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Hello, Richard. I will bring you in 1 second. I just wanted to tell the guests that my books are available, all three, on Amazon.com. And please mark your calendars for September the 18th at 5:30 p.m. at Artscape in Wilmington, Delaware, 205 North Market Street, Wilmington, Delaware, for a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, one woman show. It's all a part of the Always Choose to Love Yourself More campaign, of which I launched last year, March 5th, I believe it was. So this is the second part of that series, the poetry event. So let's get this party started. Hello, and thank you for joining. Oops, I'm trying to wave at Kay Francis, I think that is. Hello, thank you for joining. Okay, now let me get my guests on. Right? Blessings also to you. Thank you. We're just waiting for Richard to accept. Hello, and welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, and I'm coming at you with a taste of Richard Armande. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. So let me read some of your bio.
Okay.
Richard Armande is an African-American poet and writer from Springfield, Ohio. He is self-described as the love poet, of which his poems are heavily influenced by Proverbs, Psalms, and the Songs of Solomon found in the Bible. So, Mr. Armande, my first question to you would be, are you a preacher or do you come from a line of preachers?
No. No, just raised in church, that's all.
It's raised in church.
So not preacher, yeah, just raised in church, that's all.
Can you do me a favor and turn up your volume a little bit, please?
It should be up all the way. Let's see. I just turned it up. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I just come up, just raised in the church and everything. So, and with love, where everybody's having problems, you see on social media now, you see that people are having problems with love, and everybody's going any type of way, and it's just like, hey, I'm having all these problems, but it's like, you know what? Stick to agape love.
Mm-hmm.
The love of God. If you have the love of God, you have the love of men and love of woman. And so therefore you'll be able to channel your love and not trying to like be with all these different people trying to find love.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be confused as far as what love is. You'll actually get a better knowledge and say, you know what, this is what love is. This is how you should treat your spouse or significant other. And you kind of go from there and get that direction for if you just read the Bible. And just things that's Christian based as far as what love is concerned. The Bible and the Christian based books, they're not telling you to go try to find every girl that you can find or every man you can find. You basically say that one person you're looking for, the quality, so you're equally yoked. So therefore, you know what? You can build a common thread together and build upon that love. Mm-hmm. And that's where I try to come from.
That's what's up. And that's absolutely wonderful and right. But I also believe that when I said the Always Choose to Love Yourself More campaign, it's based on, I call it the oldest principle around, which is love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and
Yes.
love your neighbor as you love yourself. And what people do is, instead of the key is love yourself, then you're able to love everyone else. So that's where that
Right.
slogan comes from. Always choose to love yourself more. I push that
Right.
because if you don't love you, how are you going to really properly love someone else? So it's always
That is
God,
right.
self, and then others. And you'll have more to
Yeah.
flow out, and you won't be so exhausted giving all of yourself to somebody. Give some of that to you, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the first thing the golden rule is do unto others what you want done unto you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So do it.
So therefore,
Self
if you love
respect.
yourself,
Yes.
yes, exactly.
Self
So
love,
that's where it
self
comes from.
care, self healing. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. That's what's up.
Yes.
That is what's up. Now, my second question would be, well, I guess you answered it with uh, the question I just asked you, because the second question was, why were you so taken? Or maybe you can expound a little more on why you're so taken with Songs of Solomon, Proverbs, and Psalms. I have a pretty good idea why, because I've read those books several times.
Right.
So
Right.
so they're especially Songs of Solomon. People think that is such a wonderful love story, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but I want to hear
It's,
your reasoning.
so yeah, the Psalms and the Book of Proverbs basically give you a wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you wisdom about life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so therefore, when you equate that with love, that's the Songs of Solomon. Equate that, put that in there as well. It's the wisdom from God that you interject into your love so that you'll be able to love that person, whoever you find. As a man, when you find a man who finds a wife findeth a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, when you find that wife, you find that person, therefore you use that wisdom to be able to love her more. And that's what I try to use. So therefore, it's like that wisdom in the Proverbs, because it tells you, if you want to know all about life, most everything about life, Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
Psalms tell you about where he had to go through his struggles and everything else like that, and several other people is in Psalms.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Songs of Solomon is just a beautiful love story,
Mm-hmm.
all godly wisdom.
Yes.
So try to interject. Not saying that at growing up we didn't make mistakes. Growing up, you didn't slip up here and there, so on and so forth. But what I'm saying is, the scripture in the Bible is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just man messes up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use those godly principles, as far as in this particular case, when it comes to love, then I believe you will have a successful marriage or enough dating process up to marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then even as far as with your marriage, not till you just get married, but to sustain your marriage as well.
Yes, because that's a continual
Yes.
building and maturing of a relationship. So
Yes.
most definitely, I like that. Now, would you do us the honors, please, Mr. Richard? Am I pronouncing your last name properly? Correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Richard
Well,
Armande. That is
please,
correct.
Mr. Richard Armande, the love poet, bless us, please, with a poem.
Okay. I will do this poem. It's a short poem,
Mm-hmm.
and it's entitled Maturity.
Okay.
I want to mature in you. But when I attempt to engage you in the French kiss, it will mean so much more than just the meeting of our lips or tongues that are locked in bends and twists. For it would mean jet setting across time zones. Commercial jets flown as well fly in business class. For always handle my business and treating you first class. And a night we should land in the middle of Paris, France. And under the cherry moon we shall embrace in a lorette dance and engage in that kiss under the French skyline and sipping poetic juices till our metaphors and similes intertwine and wrapping my poetic gift until it's wrapped around your mind.
Yeah.
Managing to warm your soul while sending chills down your spine. Building that level of respect as together we will climb. Peeking in our desires into that moment we shall find the maturity of our bliss that resides on the elusive cloud nine. And that's that piece.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. And
Thank
you are
you.
so smooth and calm
Thank
with that
I appreciate it.
confidence. A gentleman. I love it. I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you.
I love it. Nia,
Thank you.
my next question would be, oh wait, it's actually about your book. The name, you're an author. What's the name of your book?
Yes, so I did come out with a book.
Mhm.
It's entitled I Dream in Color. And this, obviously, this is the wedding picture of my wife and I.
Okay.
And so, therefore, if on the cover, everything is black and white except for the word of color and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what it represents is she is the color of my life, meaning that she is my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, before her, love life was very dull, it was very hazy,
Mm-hmm.
it was not interesting, it was quite boring.
Mm-hmm.
But when she came to my life, she interjected that color in my life. So therefore, that clarity of my life. Therefore, she interjected life, love in my life. And therefore, what I did for Valentine's Day, I actually wrote her that I created this book for her. I've been actually trying to. I've been talking about this book since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got married last year,
Okay. So
last
that's okay. How long?
July 11th last year.
July 11th.
Yeah, so we just celebrated
Congratulations.
our first year. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And so I wanted to surprise her.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is basically I I put our picture, that same picture, on a 60 by 40 fleece
Mm-hmm.
blanket.
Mm-hmm.
So like you know how if you go to any type of writer has their book signing.
Mm-hmm.
So I hung it up in our living room and made it almost like a book signing, but it was for her for Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And so I made her own special copy. And then after that, I made the true copy, which is now on sale. I'm trying to get it on Amazon. I'll have that on soon.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like called I Dream in Color. But right now, I've just been sending physical copies, and
Right.
it's been quite successful. I sold probably like about 70 books right now.
That's awesome.
Just by physical copy, word of mouth.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That is so
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Now, do you have
Thank
any
you.
children?
Yes, I do. I have a daughter. Well, let's just put it this way. I have a daughter
Mm-hmm.
from my previous marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and then in my current marriage,
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 stepsons and 1 stepdaughter.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome. Now,
yeah.
how old are they? Young children or are they grown?
So my daughter will be 21 next month.
Mm-hmm.
So it ranged from 30, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to 18 years old. And matter of fact, tomorrow I'll be headed to Atlanta to drop the youngest to Morehouse.
Oh, awesome.
He got accepted to Morehouse and he's attending Morehouse. And the good thing about him, he actually was, as he was going to high school,
Mm-hmm.
he actually was going to college as well,
Mm-hmm.
community college. So he took his last 2 years in high school in a community college. So now not only does he have his high school degree,
Mm-hmm.
he has his associate's degree.
All right.
All at the same time.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
So he's going to Morehouse as a junior.
He's a wise young man.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is. Very wise.
Yes. That's what's up. Would you please give us another poem?
I sure will. This poem is entitled Intimate Expressions. Not only do I agree with you, but I believe in you, embracing every thought that is conceived in you. I just don't see you, but I envision you, with your beauty implanted in my mind with every mention of you. Not only do I want you, but I desire you, burning embers and all my members on fire for you. And not only do I want to taste you, but consume you, picturing waiting down our wedding now as a groom to you. And I just don't think of your beauty drifts into my mind, arousing erotic senses that was gifted to mankind. And not only do I listen to your words, I breathe them in and then I started, exhaling words of wisdom from the counsel you imparted. And you're not the end result of my success, but continuation of my destiny, rooted deep into your love, even in times my enemies test me. So don't be scared of me when I say I want to carry thee over the threshold to our future, when I ask you to marry me. For our action is not the testament of our life, but thesis statement to our love, detailing our intimate expressions, personally scripted from heaven above. And that's that piece.
And is Nima L. Shining Star with you? Yes. See, that's some eroticism for your, for your mind. You a dangerous brother. The brothers that come in and sneak up on you and get in here, beware, young ladies.
That's funny. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, that was absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Please, can you give us another one before my next question?
Sure. I think I want to do this piece. It is entitled Prepare for You. I was prepared for you. But when I was young, my parents imparted wisdom from their lungs. As they sat me down and said, son, we're going to teach you about dating and love. And the things that we teach you, keep it close to your chest. Lesson 1. No man will on a date without taking the first step. So if you find a young lady that you like, go to her and take your first breath and introduce yourself to her. But realizing the first impressions, your first test. And yes, it's okay to compliment her on her beauty. But make sure you speak in the complete sentence. Just don't focus on her body, but acknowledge her whole existence. And if you're able to pique her interest, it's okay to be a little persistent. Though back up and give her space if she appears a little resistant. For in the end, she wants to confirm if your talks and actions are consistent. If you feel there's a connection, then you should ask her on a date. Though you need to put her mind at ease so she's made to feel safe. By suggesting a meetup at a restaurant or another public place, and don't be late. For nothing makes a woman more irate than to adorn herself as a queen, only for her date to make her wait. And here's another lesson for today, so listen closely to what I say. Please ensure that you can afford the activities you scheduled for that day.
Come on.
For since you requested a date, it's only right for you to pay, and hey ho, by the way. Remember this unwritten rule, and make sure you understand this. Do not go out on the first date and show up empty-handed.
Yes.
But when she accepted your invitation, she's committed to you for a few hours. Thus, you need to gift her a box of chocolates and a bouquet of beautiful flowers. And prove that chivalry is not dead.
Yes.
And show the type of character within you by being the first to open the door for her when entering to a venue. And if the venue is a restaurant, I stress again before you continue, be sure that you can afford the prices that are displayed on the menu. And when it's time for the serving of the food, courteous and don't be rude. But asking her if it's okay if you lead in the blessing over the food. For if you want to set the mood where she's mentally into you, then my best advice for you is for you to be authentically you. For this must be told that if future dates is your goal, then when you speak, look deep into her eyes, what leads to the pathway to her soul.
Come on.
Until she becomes so consumed when your vibes are in tune as you proceed to make her feel like she's the only queen in the room. And she'll become your biggest fan as you expand your conversation, spilling all her dreams and aspiration when you provide her mental stimulation.
Come on.
But when you exercise your brain and stretch beyond your imagination, you'll be able to speak on various life situations, like the current state of our generation, or the beauty and the formation within our heavenly constellation, or find her source of inspirations for her causes and dedications. But please refrain from sexual innuendos and sexual connotations, for it's premature to speak on the subject of any form of sexual relations. For all that can cause your date is unnecessary stress. But she believes you just with her to have sex and be on some misogynistic mess. So be respectful and fun. Enjoy yourself with laughter. And after ordering some dessert, she may inquire what comes after. So take a stroll along a park or find live music where they're jamming, or a nice little spot where they're all salsa dancing. And you can try to play it smooth, even though you may not be familiar with the moves. But I'm sure between you two, you'll be able to find your own little groove as you dance the night away into the fading of the stars. Signals that the time is getting late. So politely escort your date into her car. And as you begin to recap the night, you should always remember this: to expect only a hug and departure, for all first dates do not end up in a kiss.
Come on, man.
But still conduct yourself with integrity as you ponder this for a minute or two, that one day your future daughter will go on a date with someone just like you. So when you out in your future dates, treat them all with respect as you reflect from that point of view. So son, we just gave you the blueprint, so the rest is up to you. I took my parents' advice, love. So I'm now prepared for you. And that's that.
That was a rewind, but rewind because, I mean, I don't expect you to do the poem again, but oh my God, that is so needed today. Do you ever, well, I guess in church, what kind of classes were they? Like when they have like men fellowships and things of that nature, do you participate in those to give young men advice, or just men, period? Because it's not just young men who need to hear the
Right.
that poem. Some older men need to hear that.
So it's funny because actually, maybe like a month ago, right before our anniversary. Due to COVID, I haven't really was able to speak to my pastor too much because, we just kind of go to church and then we kind of leave out,
Right.
not congregate and everything. So maybe a week or so before our anniversary is one of the times that he was out in the congregation, just kind of talking to people. And I was telling him like, hey, we're coming up on our anniversary. And I stated that, I gave him the book. And I asked him, did he read it? He said, yes. And he's like, and just let you know, I'll bring you up on the pulpit in a few weeks. So long story short, just this past Sunday, he was like, we got a poet in the house and we're going to bring him up and do a poem. And I did that poem.
That's all.
And I said that because I said, especially in the church, we always talk about how the women should conduct themselves, how they should act, how they should dress. But we never address what the men should be, how to conduct themselves.
Exactly.
And so that was a poem that, again, this is something I wrote it as if my parents sat me down in one sitting. No, it was not only just my parents, it was my extended family, my pastor, because he was my Sunday school teacher back in the days. That all was just teaching like, hey, this is how you conduct yourself. So I grew up in the 70s. I'm a 70s kid. I mean, yeah, man.
Right.
So therefore, back then, that was the rule. That was not the exception. That was the rule. So it was like, you have to do this drill, drill, drill. This is how you do. This is how you conduct yourself. This is how you date, so on and so forth. And so therefore, people that like you say, hey, you should teach a class. I'm like, basically, this is just what my parents taught us.
Right.
Anybody who grew up in the 70s is like, this was the rule.
But see, the deal is, the kids that are, coming up today, or the young people, young adults, they didn't get the teachings that people got in the 70s. So
true. Very true.
It's still needed. And like I said, it needs to be reiterated to more mature men, because sometimes they tend to try and go along with what's going on in the world versus what it should be,
Yes.
And it's a shame that not all of them, but there are those who do. So it does need to be, reiterated. So that's good that you're having those opportunities to speak about it. And I'm glad you shared that on this platform.
Yeah.
And
my pastor does that. He actually speaks on that a lot, because that's, again, a lot of it comes from him. But as you stated before, even like a platform like this that you're giving me, William Washington, his platform he gave me, Brother Mike, who's on here, the platform he gave me, and the platform is similar to these right now, to state these things, because like, again, it's like I saw somebody stating like, I'm a 70s person too, grew up in the 70s, and it's kind of like, this is what's taught. So if there's people who are in the 80s, 90s, and and that's on these platforms, obviously I'm going to speak that, because it's like, hey, give you another option. Like, hey, if you want somebody who's, because it's like all women are this, and derogatory names. No, there are a lot of women who are searching for somebody who's actually doing something in life that's going to respect them.
Exactly.
So therefore, you know what? If you respect them, you have the plethora of women that's going to, and I'm saying like, but as far as dating is concerned, you have that woman that you're like, hey, I want to be with somebody who's going to be, with chivalry is not dead, somebody who's going to be respecting me, and so on and so forth. Now you find somebody who's equally yoked to you, but they will come to you. You will find them. That's what I said. A man who finds a wife finds a good thing. You'll find that person.
Exactly.
Eventually.
Exactly. So that's what's up. Yes.
Thank
Most
you.
definitely. Most definitely. Now, I must ask this, because I don't have to, but actually, before I ask my last question, I like to ask 3 questions pertaining to my book. The expression part, I'm not going to ask, because I believe you covered that with that poem you did before this one. But I would like one of your deepest thoughts, And the second one would have been one of your favorite expressions, but I love that poem. That poem covers that. And
Okay.
I don't know if you'll play with this last question, but one of your dirty little secrets.
Okay.
So, but one of your
Okay.
deepest thoughts. And when I say deep,
My
it doesn't have to be like, it's just something I ask. It's pertaining to the book, my book titles, and I just do it for fun.
okay. So deepest thought in just anything?
Yes.
My deepest thoughts. As of right now, my deepest thoughts at this moment is saying, you know what? I want to be a writer, a storyteller. How can I, through poetry and novels, be able to reach people and it will affect them in a way that, like, wow, sit back and think about it. Just like right now, you said, wow, people need to hear that poem. I actually think about these things. And because somebody said, Richard, you're a storyteller. And I said, well, other stories can I tell, not just my story, but others people's story. And that we can get to a point where every artist, entertainer, like us, we're not in a big name right now, but there's a medium for people like right now, what you're doing right now. How can we project this more so every entertainer can get their thoughts and get their ideas and project that, so where it's like, you know what, it could be seen not just locally,
Right.
not just regionally, but nationally and internationally.
Yeah.
And literally, I talk to my wife all the time about this. And I've been thinking about it, and I'm always practicing, and I'm always thinking like, maybe we should do this, and maybe we should, like this IG. This reaches not just here, but over in London.
Exactly.
If people are watching, or India,
Right.
those are the thoughts I've been thinking lately within the last 2 or 3 months.
That's awesome. Yes, yes, yes. And you know what? I believe this, um, the poetry industry, the movement, the people, that's where we're going because
Yeah.
we give just as much as any and every other entertainer.
Yes.
Danielle Green, Poetic Black, said it last week on my show. He said, even a clown gets paid. So,
You got that.
exactly, we should get paid also, you know. And
Yes.
I believe it's from us, like we're doing, raising the bar, setting higher standards, being
Exactly.
consistent. And when we come, we bring in all of ourselves to the party. We're not just coming half cocked, not ready, oh, looking shuffled, and no, we're bringing the very best that we have to give, and we're giving it all.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
I totally agree. And actually, you know what? We know that the COVID season has been terrible for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, but in a certain sense, it's been a blessing for a lot of people because I know that a lot of my friends who, including myself, saying like, I don't have time to do X, Y, Z, create this book, create this, start this business. During the COVID season, a lot of my friends started either wrote their book, like I created this book, just like, oh, you know what? Let me just do this. I've been saying I don't have time. Well, guess what? I got a lot of time now.
Exactly.
So creating a book, starting a business. So it's just like, wow, COVID season for some, has been a blessing.
Has
And
definitely.
so what did it also create? IG Live and poetry venue. I mean, a poetry platform like this,
Yeah.
and getting us more out there to get exposed to people I would never got exposed to before.
Exactly. Yes.
So
Yes. So it is definitely a blessing because I'm gonna tell you the thought of performing live or doing something like this would freak. It used to freak me out.
yeah,
I'm talking about I would
yes.
literally hyperventilate. My son used to be like,
Mhm.
"Mom, okay, you need to calm down. Here, breathe into this bag. You gotta, calm down." And and this is like seconds
Yeah.
before it's time for me to jump in front of the camera. So, but I was determined. My niece, I don't know if she's still on here, accessorized me, Kathy. She was the one. She pushed me. my nephew recently pushed me to do a podcast. So I started a podcast. And it was,
Nice.
those are things I thought about, but like I said, I'm like, no. but
Right.
but you have to change and go with, is everything okay?
Yes,
Okay.
it's okay.
But you have to change and go with the way the world is flowing. And social media, that's what it is. So the platform of Instagram lives, doing lives, the podcast, I was like, okay, you know, full speed
Yeah.
ahead. Especially when
And
God opens the door. As soon as I say I
yes.
submit to it, He opens the door, so I'll learn how to do the
Yeah.
thing. Like William Washington, he's the one who
Yeah.
took me on my other page and showed me how to do live. Because, like I said, my nephew kept after me. He's like, "You have to do this, and you need to be, on social media." And so I'm thankful that he took the time to show me how to do a live
That's how I first met you, in a sense. That's
show.
how I learned about you. Ian Washington shows. You was featured on there,
Oh,
and I met you on there. Um, so people like him, because I was like, before this, I'm like, I'm not getting on IG Live. I ain't doing all that. And then finally, I got on. I was just looking at actually his show. He was like, "Rich, I've been trying to get you on my show forever." I'm like, "Nah, not really." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I want you on my show," and that's where it started.
yeah,
And then I started doing like other open mics, friending people, find out there's other open mics, IG Lives, and again, here I am today,
yeah,
being exposed. So, like brother Mike on here, he's one of my biggest supporters, along with William Washington. Like, listen, come on my show. And he got one of my books. He, supporting my books and just like, hey, I got this brother's book, and you know what, and give me a rave reviews, and here I am today on your show.
yes, yes,
It's people like you and the other two I just mentioned that again gives the artist a chance to not, like I said, not be able to just exposed locally, but internationally.
yes.
And I do appreciate it. I
Yeah.
truly appreciate it.
I thank you for coming. Yes, yes, yes. Now, wait, before you go, please, you have to give us 2 more poems.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Um,
if you just joined, welcome to A Taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of Richard Armande. Sir,
Thank
the
you.
floor is yours.
I think I'm going to do this poem. It's entitled The Best of Me. I may not be the best, but I will give you the best of me. My full love and dedication. Expect nothing less from me. And I sing your praises to the heavens until there's no more breath in me. But I'll regain my second wind when guiding you to your destiny. And if you're weary doing your journey, then come rest with me. For I have you turned on to the morning dawn as you lay next to me. For you be dripping wet with ecstasy without even connecting with you sexually, but by speaking intellectually, that I may retain your attention. Praying that my words are heavily inspired to enter into your spiritual dimension, entrenching deep into your soul, as it consoles for echoes from your desires that was unfairly imprisoned. But I failed to mention, for it briefly escaped my recollection, that I drown within your presence, but I thirst for your affections. For when my moral compass was misguided, God's love steered me in your direction to behold the female Job, for I believe it a mirror of perfection. And my love for you is so deep that our souls bond with such connections. For when others look into my eyes, they only can see your reflection.
Awesome, awesome. Yes.
Thus, my confession, I always love you to the end. For I considered you as my lover long before you became my friend. For you was able to reach into my heart before you was able to touch my skin, as we spoke in lover's code to find where our passion lies within. And our worlds began to collide to the point where our lives began to blend so much that I never met your family, but I still felt close to your next of kin. Thus, I want to be more than just a friend. I want to be your comforter when in pain. By being the sun behind the clouds when it's pouring torrential rain. That I may shine to dry the tears shed from the dark past you overcame when you're haunted by the memories from the failed relations you couldn't change. Thus, I want to make you forget the past games that were played on you by your past flames, as I engage you with a ring full of diamonds when I ask you to take upon my last name. For as my queen, you shall reign. I may not be the best, but until my last breath is my love for you, I shall proclaim. And that's that piece.
Honey, honey, honey. Mhm. How could she not marry you?
I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
And I hope all this, and I forgot who I was telling this, but within the book, the poems that was written for her. Now, not every poem was written about her, but the poems that were written for her is true stories.
That's awesome.
So, that's the thing where she appreciated, because I actually wrote it along, while we was dating. And so therefore, when she said like, all right, well, this is true. Like that prepared for you piece, she'd tell you like, well, it's true. That's how he dated me.
That's awesome.
And so in this piece, as I engaged with the ring full of diamonds when I asked you to take up on my last name, well, this is five years ago. We dated for 6 years. Well, we dated for 5 years, so 4 years ago, excuse me. I wrote that poem.
That's awesome.
And here we are married.
Yes.
So she's just like, well, he told the truth.
Yes.
So
you are who you say you are. And that
yes.
in itself, that's what I'm saying. When you connect with someone and you get in there and you're like, oh my God, this person is absolutely who they said they are. That is such a blessing. It's, and that's not to say that things are not going to come up, because life is going to throw you, but you're going to flow in it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You're just going to flow.
Right.
It's not going to be that your first thought is not going to be, oh, I'm out of here. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, this too shall pass. And then you're going to go, okay, God, check me. What do I need to do to see it?
Mm-hmm.
So.
But you know what? The thing is that people will compliment, me and my poetry, and that's fine. That's great. And I appreciate that. But really, if you really think about it, how awesome is she if I'm writing poems like that? Mm-hmm. Think about that. Mm-hmm. She must be an awesome person when she is, for me to even say, you know what? I think that much of you to write about you, because you're helping me write one of my better poetry. Mm-hmm. So really, she's half the poems. Because, this book, as I told you, I Dream in Color, is like, there's a reason why I put her, us on the cover, and why she's the only one in color, because she brings that love to me, that life to me. So she's the awesome
the best in you.
There you go.
She brings out the best in you. And that's totally awesome. And that's what love is supposed to be. Somebody who comes along and makes you flourish, who builds you up, And when I say that, I'm not just talking about that's their only purpose, but that's a big part
Right.
of the relationship. You know,
Right.
somebody not even they don't necessarily even have to say a thing. They could just do a thing. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
do say she might have been out one afternoon and weeks ago you might have said you wanted something or whatever the case may be, and then out the blue on this particular day she remembered that and boom, here she comes with that. So when people
Exactly.
do things like that, being thoughtful of you, being mindful
Hmm.
of what you like, and just listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I get it. I get it.
So
That's
you see the smile. You see the smile. You hear the poem. So it just shows you how incredible the person that she is.
hmm hmm I know what it is. I've been loved like that. That's what you.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. It's a truly
Honey,
wonderful
look,
thing.
I'm like, that's that, honey, that's that deep, that's that long lasting love. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In it to win it love.
Yeah.
That's some
Yes.
love. Yeah. So definitely, I get it. I get it. And hopefully one day, I don't know. Listen, traveling the world, I'll get to meet you guys, you know?
I know, right?
Yeah, so
Right.
I'll get to meet her.
So I'm in Ohio. So hopefully, somewhere down the line we share the same stage together.
Yes,
You never know.
exactly. Exactly.
Um,
So, it's coming.
yes.
It's coming.
Prayerfully, yes.
Now,
Yes.
please, before we close out, bless us with one more poem.
I sure will. So earlier you asked me what my deep thoughts,
hmm
and I told you as far as what I wanted to do.
hmm
But just to say this real quick, um, 99% of my poems are love poems. But I do have like two poems in the book. One's political,
hmm
one is spiritual. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the spiritual piece. It's called Eternity.
Okay.
Okay. While stricken with a sickness and confined to a hospital bed, there were flashes of my life that started to flood into my head just 5 minutes before the doctors would pronounce that I was dead.
Mm.
And while my family gathered around me crying, they were encouraging me to keep on fighting. But the more that I was trying, my health was rapidly declining as my vital signs were crashing on the verge of flatlining. While some pondered in their heads, what is God's will and His timing? Until the time struck 9 o'clock, and my body had succumbed to the infirmity. Now time is no longer a concern to me, for this world faded into the black as I had just slipped into eternity. It was only darkness that I could see. But it felt like only a second that went by before I was able to open my eyes. Though my body remained dead, my spirit was much alive, for I saw my family standing over me while they were saying the last goodbyes.
Mm.
And then my spirit began to rise. And the room became so bright like the source of a light of 1,000 moons. And I felt the presence of our Lord as the light started to spread throughout the room, which gave me the inner peace that my spirit would enter the heaven soon. And before another thought could pass by, my spirit was thrusted into the sky, escorted by an angel until we stood at a mountain high, above the city of heaven, as that mountain rested upon a cloud. And I looked down outside the pearly gates where souls would gather into a crowd, being ushered in by the angel standing guard, who ensured only the righteous were allowed. And I looked inside the city of heaven. And what a beautiful sight to behold. For the imagery was so vivid and the colors were so bold, as there's no words to articulate what could be the best story that's ever told. For my mind was truly blown from all that I was shown, for the city was created from all rare and precious stones. For everything was immaculate and pristine, the view from the mountain was serene, for the trees and bushes in the fields bloomed in colors I had never seen. And the waterfalls were soothing and struck beyond my wildest dreams, as the water displayed the colors of the rainbow as it cascaded down to the river streams, as it gave light to the flowers in the gardens and tree of life that was planted in between. Then I saw beings of diverse souls that had ranged from young to old, that was headed towards the gardens as they walked the streets of gold. And I saw mothers reunited with their daughters and sons with their fathers as they ate from the tree of life and drank from the fountains of living waters. That lifted the burdens off their chests, for there is joy in their every breath. For in heaven there's no sorrows, no more pain, no more sickness, no more death. So they exhaled a collective breath to praise the Lord in unison in one tune, as his glory illuminated the city, so there's no need for the sun or moon, as he prepares heavenly mansions, where inside there's many rooms. Though parts of heaven were not revealed, for God has sealed it to remain unknown. Then I turned to the angel, asked some questions. Noticed that he had left me all alone. Then realized the Lord had risen above the mountain, and he summoned me to his throne, where it read that he's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords and God alone. So I bowed down before the Lord, and trembling and in fear. And the Lord asked me in his thundering voice, "Why are you here?" In the midst of my confusion, I said, "Lord, I was raised in Christianity from my birth." And he said, "Well, that doesn't hold much worth when you were just only playing church. For yes, you was on fire from the beginning, but late in life, you was just pretending. Instead of meditating on my word, you was only concerned if your Facebook posts were trending. He wanted my forgiveness without forgiving, my blessings without giving, as you indulge in carnal desires with little or no repenting. For you as a holy roller all day Sunday and lukewarm for me on Mondays when I demanded your full allegiance. You said, not right now, my Lord, but someday." But now here we are. And that someday never came. And you knew life actions were eternal, but you treated my grace and mercy just like a game. For you had the form of godliness, but denied the power that's in my name. So I'm now searching through the book of life, only seeing traces from the erasure of your name. Then the mood has shifted, and I felt a drastic change from feeling eternal peace to overwhelmed with fear and shame. So I pleaded with the Lord to see if there's any mercy I could attain. But he said, "Depart from my presence, for you never truly embraced my name." So he cast me out of heaven, and I felt this excruciating pain, which was caused by the heat, when I descended closer to hell's licking flames. But hell was worse than an apocalyptic vision, where souls trapped inside a volcanic prison, tormented for eternity for ungodly choices and decisions. For death loomed in every part, for hell was evil and very dark, but I only saw the silhouette of these demons that was ripping souls apart. And as I headed downward in full steam, I prayed this all is just a dream, for I smelled the stench of burning flesh and heard the sounds of blood-curdling screams. For the souls of murderers and pedophiles and liars and rapists, tormented without rest, and there's no way to escape this. And the pain became so unbearable that my teeth started to grind, as hell expanded for my arrival and roared, "Finally, you are mine." But instead of engulfing eternal flames, I started to see this light shine, then realized I had returned back into my earthly conscious mind. For I heard the nurses yell to the doctors that they revived my vital signs. And when I glanced at the clock, I noticed that the events all occurred within 2 minutes of time. And when I tried to collect my thoughts, for my mind was totally in despair, the Lord started to speak to me right then and there. Said, "No, it's your mother in the corner praying quietly in the chair. For while you was headed for eternal death, and you deserved to be there, her to please within her cries when she lifted you in prayer. So, to be fair, I've given you a second chance. But remember how this feels. Knowing that heaven is amazing, but hell is also real. So take this chance to repent so you could become spiritually healed. For if we meet again in the same condition, there will be no more appeal. But for now, you need to rest, my son. So I leave you with peace and be still. And that's that peace.
Now, I have to ask, is that based on experience? Was that written from experience, or was it?
No, so basically, this is stuff, actually just testimonies, not my testimony, but these are testimonies that you see even on YouTube, reading about it, that people actually died. And you hear people just say, hey, when I died, it's like the light, the room just came so bright. Mm-hmm. And then I could see people just kind of like my family there, and I said the doctors and everything, mm-hmm. but I'm just floating up outside my body. Mm-hmm. And then some people like, hey, I saw a taste of heaven. Well, there's some people said they saw a taste of hell. And by the grace of God, well, based on how you feel, if you're in heaven, you want to stay there, but you're in hell, you want to come back. And so therefore, just reading those type of stories, I just kind of blended in and just made a poem about it.
Okay. I was like, I had to ask.
No problem.
It's an excellent poem. And that, I'm
Thank
sure
you.
Also, that's something else. An evangelist. Because that's you understand what I'm saying? That poem puts me in mind of what an evangelist would say, and it wasn't like wretched threatening. It was just,
right.
And that's why I didn't hit the alarm, because it was a time of peace when you were singing the poem. So, but it was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for this platform. Thank you for everyone who's on here. Like I said, I see William Washington, Blood Brother Mike.
Yeah.
I see my friend Maya on here.
Yeah.
And my stepson's on here, Tobite Isaac. He's the one going to Morehouse tomorrow. If you see a few other people, I didn't recognize the names, but thank you so much for supporting me. Again, pretty soon you will see I Dream in Color on Amazon. If you want a copy, I do have physical copies. You can just DM me, send me your address. It's $13. That includes shipping and handling, and I'll send it to you, and we'll go from there.
That is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of the love poet, Richard Armande. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for staying. Thank you for the love that you have shown this great poet and writer. Please follow him, show him some love and support and blessing. Purchase his book, and I will see all you guys next Tuesday evening. So, Mr. Armande, if you could just tap the X.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you again.
Thank you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I definitely enjoyed all my shows, but that one was nice. It was spiritual. It was peaceful. It was fun. Thank you again, Richard Armande. You guys have a wonderful evening. Good night.